Hi everybody. So here we go into Mark 2. Here we have Jesus going into Capernaum, and people hear that he's there, and they gather in the multitude, and he preaches to them. Among them in a crowd is a man sick of the palsy. His attendants are adamant that he be seen, insomuch that they lower him through the roof so that Christ can be with him. Jesus sees their persistence, and he forgives the man of his sins, and a scribe among the group hears this and calls out Jesus for blasphemy. Jesus asks, "How is it blasphemous in the name of God that this man be forgiven of sins, or if he rises and walks?" He says that the Son of Man has the power to forgive sins and tells the man to rise, and he does. And then he tells the man to walk, and he does. He leaves everyone amazed. He's trying to heal spiritually and physically here because he knows that sickness and death invade humanity through sin. The people have never seen anything like this before. Here we have Levi, or Matthew, and Jesus tells him to follow. Jesus eats with the sinners and the publicans. The Pharisees and scribes ask his disciples why. With the Pharisees going out of their way to ask the disciples, this is a move on them trying to pull his foundation apart, the one that he's built up in his time doing all of his ministry. Jesus tells them that he's come to seek out sinners, and he's here to save them, not the righteous. The scribes and Pharisees then ask, "Why don't your disciples fast?" Jesus says, "Why would they? The bridegroom is still here with them, and until the day he's not there, that's when they'll start to fast." Jesus breaks it down that no man is righteous in God's sight by virtue of his own goodness, and that we need to be held to a higher standard, to God's standards. He references David eating the showbread, or consecrated bread, from 1 Samuel 21, and that he tells the priest the Sabbath was made for man and not the man for the Sabbath, reasoning that divine institutions on earth should have a God-honoring function and that the Sabbath had degenerated into mockery. Jesus says that with his power to forgive sins, he can teach them rightly regarding the observation. We head right into Mark 3, where Jesus enters a synagogue and he sees a man with a withered hand. The scribes watch to see if he will heal the man. Jesus tells the man to rise, and then he calls out to the scribes by asking them if it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath or evil, to save a life or to kill, and no one says a thing. Jesus is mad at the hardness of their hearts, the kind of mad that comes from the realization of loss or grief. It's emotional, and he tells the man to hold out his hand, and he heals him. The Pharisees and scribes see this. To Jesus, the observation of the Sabbath from the Old Testament times to the time that he is in has become subservience, a kind of man-made code of ethics, and it's spiritually deadly. The Pharisees and the scribes seek a way to discredit Jesus and his work. The Herodians join him, as they see him as a threat. Jesus goes to the sea with his disciples, and great multitudes follow him. He asks the disciples to secure a small boat at the ready in case the crowds surround. People long only to touch him. People with evil spirits fall down before him, as the presence of him makes the spirits flee, saying he is the Son of God. He asks disciples to keep his identity hidden, though many already know. Jesus goes to a mountain and ordains the 12 followers so that they will be able to preach, so that they can heal sickness and cast out devils. Here the 12 disciples are introduced, and they enter into a house and again are surrounded by many. The scribes say that he is Satan, the devil casting out devils. Jesus calls them out and says, How is that possible? A house divided against itself cannot stand. He says that all sins shall be forgiven unto the Son of Man. Blasphemies against the Holy Ghost are never forgiven, and the blasphemer is in danger of eternal damnation. People call out that his mother and his brethren seek him, and Jesus says, "Whoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother, my sister, and my mother." As we conclude Mark 2 and 3, I can't help but think at how exhausting this must have been for Jesus to consistently be surrounded by people that are pleading for help, and to know that that is literally what you're here to do, is to help your people. and he does it. It just seems like never having a moment to reflect, never having a moment to pause and to eat a meal. It is something that I can definitely reflect with as being a mom. Different, of course, as to what we're doing and our jobs here. But as a mom, you do much of the same thing, where you put yourself last and you're constantly helping others. And you don't complain about it, but it's what you do, and it is exhausting. So it's refreshing to have read it myself, to know that it is a powerful job that you're doing, and it is worth doing. Okay, everybody, this concludes Mark 2 and Mark 3. Thank you so much for studying with me. Comment down below any verses that stuck out to you or that you feel like you affiliated with a lot. Let me know your thoughts on it. And until next time, when we go through Mark 4, have a good day. Thanks very much. Bye.